Tonight, reaching into the cabinet to find answers to the fuel crisis as the rate rise doubles the pain on household budgets. Good evening and welcome to ABC News Victoria. I'm Iskhandar Razak. Also tonight, a shooting outside a Melbourne cafe believed to be linked to the illegal tobacco trade. Fears the latest IVF mix-up could be the tip of the iceberg. And the Matildas go kerpow, booking a spot in the Women's Asian Cup final. The Prime Minister has called a national cabinet meeting for tomorrow to resolve Australia's fuel supply shortages. A new supply chain czar will be appointed to coordinate the response. Fresh Treasury modelling also confirms the war in the Middle East will push inflation even higher. Here's National Affairs correspondent Jane Norman.
On a wide open road in a wide brown land, diesel's considered the lifeblood of the Australian economy.
That's not the Australian way, I can tell you.
But in less than a month, prices have doubled and in some towns, supplies are running out.
The war in the Middle East is disrupting supply chains. It's pushing up fuel prices.
In response, the Prime Minister is bringing together state and territory leaders to identify where the shortages are and how to get the fuel there. The operation to be coordinated by a new supply chain czar.
Of course, we're preparing for every contingency and will continue to do so.
We already have a fuel czar. His name's Chris Bowen and he needs to do his day job.
Supplies are solid, according to the government.
I don't think rationing will be part of that consideration. It's not necessary at this stage.
Demand is the problem, with panic buying and stockpiling causing some servos to run dry.
We have seen some, what I've called un-Australian activity, buying jerry cans, selling it on Facebook Marketplace. That's just nuts.
That's not an answer to this problem. We need to be doing more here, as I know others have said, to bring on exploration and refining of fuels here in Australia.
With only 2 refineries left, Australia imports 90% of its liquid fuels.
These refineries, we had 6 when Angus Taylor was the Energy Minister, 2 by the time that he left.
Now well into its 3rd week, the war is taking a greater economic toll. In a major speech tomorrow, the Treasurer will reveal new modelling showing economic growth will fall further and inflation could rise above 5%, back to what it was in 2023. But this time around, there's little appetite for handouts, with the Treasurer favouring spending cuts and tax reform in his upcoming budget.
The economic consequences of this conflict are very serious, extremely serious, and potentially enduring.
And Australians will be paying the price. Jane Norman, ABC News, Canberra.
It's estimated almost 1.5 million households could now be at risk of falling into mortgage stress. Many Australians are rethinking their household budgets as the nation's big banks waste no time in passing on yesterday's interest rate hike.
In Australian suburbs, mortgage pain is hitting home as news of another interest rate hike drives up loan repayments.
I was surprised because obviously everyone thought it would be coming in May.
I think it's a little bit ridiculous to put interest rate up 2 months back to back.
According to research from Roy Morgan, the latest rate rise could leave more than 1.4 million home borrowers at risk of mortgage stress once the rate increases are passed through. The Commonwealth Bank, ANZ and NAB will hike home loans on the 27th of March. For Westpac borrowers, it's the 31st.
Yes, we can help you with that today.
Calls to financial counsellors have increased.
After the interest rate rise, we saw our busiest February since before the pandemic, so since 2020.
Australians facing tough situations are being advised to get on top of their debt faster.
And that might mean calling up your creditors, calling up the bank or your telco or your energy company and explaining your situation and asking for a hardship arrangement.
The Reserve Bank's hiking interest rates to cool the economy and stop prices from rising so fast. Economists think it has more work to do.
We are forecasting another 25 basis point rate hike in May, and that will take the cash rate back to 4.35.
The pain for mortgage borrowers is expected to increase as the cost of living crisis collides with mortgage pain. But it's a different story for Australians who have paid off their home and have savings in the bank.
If interest goes up, that's good for me.
Other retirees are concerned for their children.
I have 2 daughters that got mortgages and they're finding it a little bit tough.
Will affect our sons. So, yes, so it's a hard time for them as well with petrol rises as well.
A double whammy to the hip pocket nerve. David Taylor, ABC News.
One of Australia's defence bases in the Middle East has been damaged by an Iranian strike near Dubai. The federal government says the impact was minor and no Australians were injured.
A wave of Israeli airstrikes on Tehran targeting the besieged militia, a volunteer branch of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps. Its commander, Gholam Reza Soleimani, killed, along with security chief Ali Larijani, one of the most powerful figures in the regime.
Our aircraft are hitting the terror operatives on the ground, in the crossroads, in the city squares.
Iran's response was swift. A missile strike killing 2 people in central Israel.
The roof caved in on top of an elderly couple that were inside of their apartment.
An hour after Larijani's death, Iran hit back. A barrage of missiles struck at least 5 sites in Tel Aviv. This usually busy train station hit in the fallout.
Iran's ongoing attacks on Gulf states are impacting Australia. The federal government revealing a fire caused minor damage at the Al Minhal defence base in the United Arab Emirates after a projectile hit a nearby road.
I can confirm that no Australian personnel were injured and everyone is absolutely safe.
Australia has deployed a surveillance plane to the UAE, but isn't acting on Donald Trump's demands for countries to send ships to the Strait of Hormuz to protect oil tankers.
So we helped them and they didn't help us, and I think that's a very bad thing for NATO.
The US president adding Australia to the list of nations he's singled out on social media. We no longer need or desire the NATO countries' assistance. We never did. Likewise, Japan, Australia or South Korea.
I thought it was a petulant post from a president under immense pressure.
I'm not aware of any specific formal request for us to send ships into the Strait of Hormuz. It's not something that we've been considering.
The late, great Winston Churchill.
As the president bickers with international allies, he's also facing criticism from within. Counter-terrorism official Joe Kent resigning from his role, telling Mr Trump, Iran pose no imminent threat to our nation, and it's clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby.
I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. But
one of the first signs of internal dissent.
Thank you very much.
Bridget Rollison, ABC News, Tel Aviv.
The United Nations Human Rights Office is warning that Israeli airstrikes on residential buildings and displaced civilians in Lebanon could amount to war crimes. Israel's military says it's targeting infrastructure belonging to the Iranian-backed Hezbollah. The intense fighting has killed more than 800 people in Lebanon and forced nearly 1 million from their homes.
In the early morning, a building in downtown Beirut is levelled in an Israeli strike. This attack well outside Hezbollah's stronghold suburbs in the south, sparking concerns that nowhere in this city is safe. This unfinished council building is now an emergency shelter.
We had houses and we were living happy lives. Now we've become like this.
Charities forced to step in to deal with the humanitarian crisis.
How many meals are you cooking here a day?
About 2,000 hot meals.
As Israel expands its ground operations in the south and airstrikes there and beyond, and Hezbollah continues to fire upon Israel.
We are monitoring Hezbollah and all of its commanders, from Beirut to southern Lebanon.
Israel has demanded the evacuation of a huge part of the south, all the way to the Zahrani River and much of Beirut's southern suburbs. It's left more than 900,000 Lebanese displaced inside their own country. And this is the reminder of that ever-present threat from Israel, a strike just coming through in southern Beirut over there, just beyond the international airport. Not far from that blast, a school has been commandeered as accommodation for almost 700 people. 71-year-old Asriha tells us 11 people are sleeping in this half of one classroom.
It is a lot of pressure, and we are short on resources, especially if the war is extended and the displacement doesn't end soon.
Although finding reasons to smile in chaotic circumstances. Matthew Doran, ABC News, Beirut.
A man has been injured in a shooting outside a Melbourne cafe that police believe is linked to the illegal tobacco trade. A group of people were sitting outside the cafe in Altona North when an allegedly stolen car pulled up nearby at about 11:30 last night. 3 shots were fired into the crowd, 2 striking a 49-year-old man in the arm. He was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Several hours later, the car was found burnt out 500 metres from the cafe.
The conflict we see at the moment is seeing random acts of violence that are directed at people who they perceive are opposing people. Whether those people were at that premises at the time often is immaterial.
Advocates and allies have held a vigil outside a Melbourne court demanding justice for sex workers following the alleged murder of a woman in a Footscray brothel in 2024. Forensic pathologists have given evidence today, with one telling the court she believes the woman died after some form of smothering or gagging.
A tribute for sex workers who never came home. Red lanterns forming a display outside the Melbourne Magistrates Court.
By showing up and having a strong presence today, we're hoping to keep her story and her soul alive.
In November 2024, police discovered the body of a 62-year-old woman inside a Footscray brothel. 36-year-old Michael James Chalmers faced a committal hearing today, charged with rape and murder. 2 forensic pathologists were called to give evidence. Dr Joanne Ho, who conducted the autopsy, said she couldn't say conclusively how the woman had died. But her colleague, Dr Joanna Glengarry, came to a different conclusion, that the woman's death must have occurred by virtue of some broad neck compression, smothering or gagging. Under cross-examination, police informant Detective Senior Constable Daniel Falone said police only collected a statement from one person who had attended the brothel during the week prior to the woman's death, and blood found in the woman's room was not tested. At the end of the committal process, a magistrate will decide if Michael James Chalmers is to stand trial. He's due back in court on Monday. Alexandra Alvaro, ABC News, Melbourne.
Fertility experts fear more IVF errors may be accidentally revealed through the growing popularity of genealogy companies and DNA tests. Yesterday, the ABC told the exclusive story of twin sisters who were born to a mother they are not biologically related to. It happened because of an embryo mix-up at Royal North Shore Hospital's fertility clinic in Sydney in 1995. That hospital has a long history of issues with its fertility clinic. Elise Kinsella reports.
It was here at Royal North Shore Hospital's fertility clinic in Sydney that ABC presenter Sarah Dingle was conceived in 1982 via anonymous sperm donation. She learnt that information at 27, spent years investigating her own story and the clinic, eventually writing a book about her work.
I realised that, first of all, this clinic had a policy of deliberately and systematically tampering with medical files.
The hospital says it was standard practice at the time to remove donors' identities on medical files. Yesterday, the ABC revealed another serious problem at the same hospital and clinic. New South Wales woman Sasha Safransky discovered she and her twin sister were born after an embryo mix-up in 1995. They learnt they are not related to the mother who birthed and raised them.
I was not surprised to hear of that story. This is a clinic with a dreadful track record.
Sasha Safransky uncovered the mix-up after submitting her DNA to the website Ancestry.com, trying to trace her family history.
With the increasing use of these things like Ancestry.com, we are going to uncover more and more situations where people don't have the parentage that they thought they did.
The Safranskis say they don't know how the IVF mistake was made and have been offered no apology or support because of a dispute between the hospital and IVF giant Virtus Health over who was responsible for the clinic at the time. The hospital says it had been privatised.
The only thing we can do at this point is to support the people who have been affected.
If you're going through this, you deserve to know why this happened.
Elise Kinsella, ABC News.
Apartment towers of up to 20 storeys will be allowed in parts of Melbourne's inner north under a Victorian government plan to increase housing density near transport hubs. Today, the government unveiled its final plans for 25 of its so-called activity centres in areas such as Kew, Brunswick and Brighton. The planning controls allow for increased height limits and quicker approvals in selected zones around train and tram stops. It's part of a plan to create capacity for 300,000 homes by 2051.
Not enough homes have been built in the inner and middle suburbs. And what that has meant is that young Victorians, millennials, people under the age of 40, they've been locked out of those opportunities.
We will rip them up. It is a guarantee. If you live in Bayside, we will rip it up.
A report from the financial watchdog has found that it is unclear whether Victoria's long-awaited overhaul of the MyKey ticketing system is delivering the state value for money. The Auditor General has also uncovered more delays to the multi-billion-dollar project and failures of the government to properly manage risk. Here's state political reporter Richard Willingham.
Victorians have been waiting years to be able to tap them with their phones rather than their MyKeys to catch public transport, and now they can on 4 select lines as part of a trial. This MyKey modernisation is costing it $2 billion. The State's Auditor General says it's unclear from his investigations of whether this is value for money. Andrew Greaves' latest report also says that a $136 million 18-month delay to ticketless travel could have been avoided had the Transport Department dealt with technical issues before signing a contract. It also accepted an unrealistic timeline put forward by operator Conduent. Concession card holders make up a third of all travellers, and the plan is for them to get tap and go sometime next year. But this is a complex process, and the report warns of serious risks which have now materialised. The concession plan has been paused and no restart date has been given. So for now, it's just full fares.
This is another $1 billion that the government has spent where we're not sure what the outcome is or will be. It's not on time, it's not on budget, and it's not going to be.
There are also concerns about Conduent's track record when it was first appointed. The auditor found the tender was effective. However, he raised serious concerns that the department failed to follow its own guidelines by not appointing a probity auditor. The government said it was getting on with delivering a new ticketing system, which was complex, and his national experience showed major upgrades can take around 4 years. The full rollout of Tap and Go won't be complete until 2028, and that's only if the government can manage this very complicated project. The auditor's report suggests that that may not be the case. Richard Willingham, ABC News, Melbourne.
King Frederick and Queen Mary of Denmark have wrapped up the second day of their Melbourne tour with a hit of table tennis. The Royals visited youth mental health organisation Headspace, with the King taking on some tough competition on the paddles. There have been few opportunities for Melburnians to meet the Danish monarchs. Instead, the Melbourne leg of the tour has focused on economic ties between Australia and Denmark. The King telling business and political leaders the two countries should be working together in what he said are troublesome times.
A partnership with the potential to make a real and lasting impact on some of the greatest challenges facing our nations and economies, namely the transition to secure renewable energy and the development of more energy efficient, low emission built environments.
Former Chief Justice Sir Anthony Mason has died aged 100. He served on the High Court for 23 years, including 8 years as Chief Justice from 1987 to 1995. Sir Anthony presided over a number of groundbreaking rulings, including the landmark 1992 Mabo decision that recognised native title. In 2012, it was revealed as a junior judge on the High Court he'd given advice to Governor-General Sir John Kerr during the Whitlam dismissal crisis. After his retirement, he also served on the Hong Kong Court of Final Appeal until he was 90. He's been remembered as a pioneer of Australian law.
He wasn't your narrow lawyer. He was interested in public affairs. He was interested in the relationship between the individual and government. He was interested in international affairs. He was interested in sport. He was interested in politics. He had this large vision.
Back to finance, and both BHP and Woodside Energy have new bosses. Here's Daniel Ziffer.
After 6.5 years, Mike Henry is leaving and mega miner BHP will have a new boss, Brandon Craig. Also today, oil and gas giant Woodside Energy has elevated Liz Westcott to CEO. That's less of a shock because she's been doing the job since December, when former Chief Executive Meg O'Neill fled to run BP. BHP is our second most valuable company, behind the Commonwealth Bank. But Brandon Craig will be getting a far less exciting pay packet than his outgoing boss, who earned $19 million last year. When I asked him today about the world on fire geopolitical situation of recent weeks, he described it as a pretty interesting time. So he's clearly got a flair for understatement as well as digging up copper. Shares in both companies lifted as investors cheered safe internal appointments to money-making behemoths. Stocks rose in the US as the world waits on interest rate decision from its central bank, the Fed, which is expected to keep rates in the range between 3.5% and 3.7%. Yes, ours are now higher than that. Brent oil fell but remains above $100 a barrel. Our dollar now above 71 US cents, its highest level in more than 2 years. And that's finance.
On 7:30 with Sarah Ferguson, the surge in counterfeit cash leaving businesses out of pocket.
I just couldn't believe that this was happening. Thank you very much. I've seen two notes next to each other where, to the naked eye, you cannot tell the difference.
If prop cash looks like an Australian banknote, it's not a toy, it is a crime.
Some of those amounts of counterfeit currency, if they were real, would amount up to around about $2.5 million.
The Matildas are back in Sydney, ready to fulfil their dream of winning the Women's Asian Cup final on Saturday night. Their 2-1 win over China in Perth last night was once again inspired by some Sam Kerr brilliance, as this generation looks poised to finally win a trophy.
She is incredible, Sam Kerr.
Kerr's career has been built on making the seemingly impossible look easy. But she's taken it to a new level at the Asian Cup, scoring a magical match winner for the second straight game.
Perfection from Sam Kerr. I know I can be one of the best players in the world, and I think I'm showing that at this tournament.
Kerr is the only player in this current golden generation to have ever won a major tournament, the 2010 Asian Cup. Most have spent half their lives playing together and are also peaking at the right time.
Well, she's arriving on the spot.
We've been fighting so long to get here, and I just feel like finally it's paid off, and yeah, we deserve to be there and we deserve to be playing for a trophy.
It didn't all go the Matildas' way.
Mary Fowler.
Ford's opener was cancelled out by China's penalty to keep it level at the break. After Kerr's brilliance, the defending champions tried everything to keep their title hopes alive, but the Matildas wouldn't crack. As Emily Van Egmond came on late for a record-breaking 170th cap. The celebrations have been tempered with the harsh reality of what's needed next.
Our objective of getting to the final is complete. We know deep down in our hearts that we need to be better.
Now it's down to the last leg of an incredible journey to see if they can finish on a high.
Amanda Shalala joins us now from Stadium Australia, where the second semi-final is about to start. Amanda, which of these teams will the Tillies be backing tonight?
It's a tough one, Isk. Japan and South Korea have been the standout teams of the tournament so far. They're both unbeaten, although I'd say the Matildas would probably prefer the South Koreans. They had that 3-3 draw with them in the group stage. They're the world number 21 and they haven't beaten Japan in a competitive match in over 10 years. The Japanese women came into this tournament as the red-hot favourites and they've shown why. They're the world number 8. They're the highest ranked team in Asia, and across their 4 games, they have scored 24 goals and conceded none. So it will take a monumental effort to stop them tonight.
Amanda Shalala at Stadium Australia, thank you. Collingwood veteran Scott Pendlebury may have escaped suspension at the AFL tribunal, but his case has fuelled confusion. Pendlebury was found guilty but had his punishment discounted due to his exemplary record. Former players and coaches say the rules are getting too hard to interpret.
427 games and Scott Pendlebury can still put his hand up. He's got the cleanest record in the AFL. And it worked in his favour after his representatives used that record to downgrade his suspension to a fine.
If you do something that's outside the rules of the game, then you should get penalised, whether you're a first-year player or whether you're a 21-year player.
The Magpies challenged Pendlebury's one-match ban, which would have been the first of his career. The AFL tribunal found he had bumped Crow Josh Worrell and fined him $3,000.
They say we'd let you off. No, you didn't. You connived to pull together, as I said, one result and then another to cover your backside.
Yep. It leaves the competition and coaches with more questions on what is a bump.
I saw it and the distinction between a brace and a follow-through they use, I thought he braced.
And former players frustrated.
I have a genuine problem that they think that contact was avoidable. That is a nonsense.
So talk through that as a player.
The chaos of the game where the ball bounces between 2 players, the ball is an egg shape. You don't really know which way it's going to bounce. So your movements are unpredictable because the ball is unpredictable in those split-second moments.
Players want to look after other players, but they are absolutely sick of the game being made harder for them. And a $1,500 or $3,000 fine, Pendles, don't pay it.
It means the 38-year-old stays on track to play his record-setting 433rd game at the MCG in round 8 or on Anzac Day in round 9 if the club rests their ageing star. Alexia Pesce, ABC News.
Time to our star of the weather, Adam Morgan.
Good evening. It was another grey and cloudy start around Melbourne, but sunshine did return this afternoon. There were still a few spots of higher cloud around, though, and with humidity remaining elevated, those sunny breaks certainly had some kick. In the city, a muggy top of 21.1 degrees, but it did feel a little warmer than that. There were patchy showers across the Mallee today and a few afternoon storms up along the Murray in the northeast as well. Some showers over the ranges too, but south of the Divide it was dry and partly cloudy. Overnight lows were mild in the north and cooler in the south, down as low as 8 degrees at Falls Creek and Wonthaggi. Today was warmest in the southwest and the northeast. Casterton and Dartmoor both reached 26, up in Rutherglen, 28. To the satellite, the low over central Australia has finally weakened. The remaining cloud and moisture is moving into New South Wales. But out in the Coral Sea, Category 3 severe tropical cyclone Narelle sits southwest of the Solomon Islands. Rapid intensification over the next 36 hours means Category 5 strength is not out of the question before landfall. There's high confidence in the forecast track, so we're looking at coastal crossing north of Cooktown on Friday morning as a Category 4. I know it says 5 there, but Category 4 is the forecast. Impacts will begin ahead of that, though, as it approaches the coast. Should become more compact, so Cairns should escape any cyclone strength winds. Still, it'll be very wet and breezy there. After that, Cyclone Narelle should track further west, possibly passing by Katherine as a tropical low on Sunday. And of course, with all the flooding there, more rain is the last thing they need. Close to home, lingering showers move into eastern Victoria as this ridge of high pressure in the Bight gradually firms. For most of us, it's another dry and settled day. In Sydney, rain increasing tomorrow and 25 degrees. Showers for Brisbane, warm and partly cloudy in Adelaide. Back home, patchy early fog again in the south before morning grey skies clear to a partly cloudy afternoon. Elsewhere, scattered showers over the northeast and east Gippsland tomorrow. The afternoon thunderstorm risk is mainly for the northeastern ranges. It's a mild to warm day with light south to southeasterly winds. Tops in the low 20s in the southwest and mid to high 20s up through the Wimmera and the Mallee. It's unsettled in the northeast on another humid day. Shepparton, just a slight chance of a shower though. It's the same down in Gippsland in Sale, where the forecast is 21. For Melbourne, it's a mild and mostly cloudy day and still a little muggy outside with the chance of a light drizzly shower. In the city, a light southerly breeze and hopefully some late sunny breaks. We're heading for a top of 21 degrees. Cloudy again on Friday and 22. Then we begin a lovely autumn stretch of weather, partly cloudy days, light southerly winds, 23 Saturday, 24 Sunday, then 26 on Monday, 27 on Tuesday, next Wednesday, 29 degrees with a possible shower. Isk.
Fantastic stuff, Adam. Thank you very much, and thank you for watching. Stay with us now, though, for 7:30 with Sarah Ferguson.